Hello, instructional designers. Welcome to Somo Experiences, your go-to source for everything instructional design. In today's video, we're going to be diving into the world of instructional design, and we're going to discover the different career paths that can help you find your place within this industry. We're also going to highlight some of the key players within this field. So whether you're a seasoned professional, an instructional design student, or just someone who's considering switching your career, this is the video for you. So this video is going to be packed with insight on how to help you on your instructional design journey. So let's get started. This video is going to be a guide to help you on your instructional design journey. Before we dive into the different career paths within instructional design, let's run it back and define exactly what instructional design means. Instructional design is essentially the art and science of creating learning experiences. Instructional designers, they blend together creativity, technology, and pedagogy in order to create effective and impactful learning content. Now, let's get a better understanding of some of the instructional design career paths. Whether you're interested in academia, corporate training, or e-learning, there is a place for your passion. Now, let's start with the academic instructional designer. In academia, instructional designers usually work closely with educators in order to enhance the traditional teaching methods. What they would do is they would develop curriculums, assessments, and they would incorporate technology for a more immersive learning experience. Academic instructional designers have the unique opportunity to be able to leave an impact within the EdTech space. And this is the space where they would work with younger learners as well as adult learners. So in the US, this would typically be between K-12 all the way up to higher education, which would be college and universities. And the main goal is usually to help enhance the classroom learning environment and as well as increase the performance of overall students within classes. Now let's get into the corporate training specialist. For those of you who are more inclined to want to work within corporate and provide trainings within corporate, and this is for the ones who are considered the corporate baddies, I think that's what they call it nowadays. If you're more inclined to want to work within the corporate space, this would be the area for you. These professionals usually develop trainings in order to upskill employees. And the goal is usually to improve the overall workplace performance. This area is usually different from the first one that I mentioned, and that is usually because you're going to be working more with adult learners. The other thing to note is that the corporate world is big. Like, there are a lot of large companies and also small companies that fit within the corporate world. So because of this can be very lucrative for instructional designers. If you're looking for positions as an instructional designer that has a higher pay, that is where you're going to find positions that are willing to pay instructional designers a little bit more money. The next category is for the e-learning developer. So in this current digital age, the e-learning developer is actually high in demand. These professionals usually create interactive online courses while leveraging multimedia elements to engage learners. They also ensure that learning content is accessible anywhere and anytime. And this area is more suitable for those of you who are interested in freelancing, doing contract work, or maybe you're looking to start an instructional design business where you're offering your skills and services. Now, I know that that was a little broad and you still might be struggling trying to figure out where exactly you fit in this world of instructional design. And I know that thinking about where exactly you fit in and what works for you can be a little overwhelming. Therefore, I'm going to dive even deeper to get into more details on some of the career paths which are offered for you. Hopefully, by getting into more detail on some of these positions within instructional design, it gives you a clearer idea of where you fit in and how you can leverage these opportunities to build yourself within this field. Okay, so let's go ahead and shine a spotlight on some of the key players within instructional design. So the first title is for the Instructional Designer. And yes, you've heard this. This is probably the reason why you're here. That is a general title that you will see within the field. Let's get into more detail on what exactly the instructional designer does. The instructional designer will develop instructional materials and learning experiences. Usually design learning activities, assignments, and assessments. And they usually would also create computer-based trainings, which is also known as CBT. And usually they do this by creating modules and also storyboards. The instructional designer would usually also develop instructor manuals, rubrics, and other teaching tools. They would also collaborate with subject matter experts in order to create course content for the learners. The next title is for the educational technologist. And to put it simply, this professional will integrate technology into education. And they usually do this by selecting the best digital tools and platforms in order to have the educational content. Usually they specifically work with educators and faculty to develop and design the educational content. And the goal is usually for them to be able to match the overall learning outcomes. Essentially, what the educational technologist is doing is that they're combining teaching strategies with technological tools in order to provide the best learning experiences, especially for students. The next title is for the subject matter expert, which I like to call the SMEs. What a subject matter expert does is that they collaborate with instructional designers in order to ensure accuracy. They're essentially ensuring that the project is meeting the needs of both the client as well as the needs of the company. So that would be the legislations, the policies, ensuring that the stakeholders are met. So they're making sure that everything is accurate and it's also benefiting everyone as a whole within the project. Though usually an instructional designer will work with a separate subject matter expert, I have seen some positions where they do require the instructional designer to also be the subject matter expert. And let me give you a clearer understanding of what that could look like. For instance, a company may be looking for an instructional designer and their company is trying to create a course or trainings which are specialized for their customer service department. Usually what they would do is that within the job description, they would require the instructional designer to have some kind of experience with customer service at a high level. That way they understand what type of training that they're providing to their employees. So they're using both your skills as an instructional designer and your knowledge from previous experience to create these effective trainings for the end user. The next title is for the instructional coach. Yes, I know it sounds very interesting, very different. The first time I heard of an instructional coach, I was like, what? That's a career? Like, that's a real thing that people do within instructional design? Not only is it real, I personally have actually met someone who's an instructional coach. What they essentially do is they work closely with educators, teachers, instructors, and they usually work with them in order to improve the quality of their lessons. And from what I know, an instructional coach would usually work one-on-one with the teacher or the instructor, and they work with them more intimately. And the reason for this is so that they can provide a higher educational experience for the student. An instructional coach would usually work almost as a mentor, and they would work with this teacher to make sure that they're staying fresh with the technologies that they're providing, some of the theories that are out there, and also implementing more effective learning experiences for the student. The next title is for the Learning Experience Designer, also known as an LXD. And what a Learning Experience Designer does is basically in the title. So what they would do is they would provide effective learning experiences. The Learning Experience Designer usually engages in the conceptualization, design, development, and implementation of the learning products. The Learning Experience Designer also ensures that the trainings within the organization that they're working in are specifically focused on the learner. And the next title is for the Evaluation and Assessment Specialist. And what these professionals do is that they design assessments in order to measure the effectiveness of the instructions. So, how they do this is by planning, developing, coordinating, and implementing these assessments and evaluation activities. After creating and implementing these assessments, they usually utilize data collecting tools to evaluate the results of these assessments to know how effective they were for the learner. The next title is the trainer or the teacher. These specific professionals would usually deliver learning materials that have been created by the instructional designer. The reason why I bring this one up is because this is another one where you would be able to fall under both. You would be the instructional designer and as well as the trainer. For instance, a lot of professionals, they will be the ones developing the trainings as well as delivering them. So these two go hand in hand. You could find you're only a trainer or only a teacher, or you could find that you're doing both the job of being an instructional designer as well as a trainer. What trainers do is that they usually create more interactive learning experiences. So within their workshops that they facilitate, they usually have activities in there that they provide in order to help the learner understand what it is that they're being taught. The teacher and the trainer is also more front facing. So if you're someone who likes being more front facing rather than behind the scenes, this would be perfect for you. It's also great for people who like to interact with people. And if you love teaching, this is the specific area where I think you would thrive and also shine. The next title is for the project manager. Now, the project manager usually oversees the planning and the implementation of instructional design projects. This is another one of those titles that as an instructional designer, you might be doing both of. You might find that within the organization that you work for, you are both the instructional designer and the project manager because you have to ensure that you're keeping up with the project and keeping up with the deadlines, as I did speak of in my last video. If you haven't seen it, I do encourage you to take a look. But you could find yourself playing both roles. Or you could be in an institution where you're strictly the instructional designer working with that project manager, and they will be working with you to ensure that you're meeting the needs and the deadlines that you're supposed to. Now, to get a better understanding of what a project manager does, they usually identify the project's goals, objectives, and scope. And then from there, they will create a project plan that indicates the tasks, timelines, and resources that would be needed in order to fulfill the goal of the specific project. Now, the next title is for the educational researcher. What they usually do is that they conduct research to develop and further teaching and learning methods and as well as strategies. If you're someone who enjoys conducting research and also compiling reports, this would be the profession for you. And last but not least would be the accessibility specialist. Now, I did want to highlight this specific one because I myself am an academic accessibility technologist. So this is something that I have firsthand experience on. And just to give you an idea of what exactly that means and what that looks like, an accessibility specialist is responsible for ensuring that digital learning and content is accessible for all. Essentially, what you would be doing in this role is ensuring that course content is inclusive for all, especially students with disabilities. And the way you would do this is by ensuring that it's meeting accessibility laws within your country. Here in the US, that would be the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And also you'd want to ensure that the digital course content is meeting global accessibility standards. That would be referring to the WCAG, which is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Now, based on personal experience, I will say that being an accessibility specialist is very rewarding because not only are you creating great learning experiences, but you're also creating inclusive environments. Since I did get on that topic and did reveal my job title, Please leave a comment down below if you want to learn more about what is required within being an accessibility specialist. And if you'd like to know some of the tips and tricks that can help you create courses that are more inclusive, I would also love to share that with you. So leave a comment down below. Also, leave a comment down below if there are any other positions and titles that you know of that I did not cover in this specific video. The goal is to be able to help all of us find out what is out there and know where exactly it is that we fit in. And what better way to do that than here in this community? So please share it down in the comments. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. And as we wrap this video, I want you all to remember that instructional design offers a dynamic and diverse range of career paths. I am telling you, you would be surprised as what is out there while you're doing your research, and also while you're interacting with people within your network. You find out that there are things that are out there that you just didn't know existed. And I'm someone who's very open-minded, so even though there might be a position that's not technically out there, you as a new person within the instructional design field, you might be able to create a career path that none of us have ever thought of within instructional design that could end up being something that people are open to going towards. So don't be afraid to explore and just go based on what you're really interested in. So whether you're that person who's interested in shaping and shifting the future of education within academia, or you're that individual who's very cutting edge and you're interested in just working within corporate, there is a place for you within the world of instructional design. And always remember, your journey within instructional design is yours to define. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Irene Sidede, and I will see you in the next one.